The time has come for our trivia results. Our guests did the same trivia that you did. Let's find out how they did. Moya, Valentina, M, did the trivia bring you comfort and joy? Or do your answers spell bad tidings for you and your kin?
Historically, I'm terrible at trivia, so...
Yeah, I'm not the most confident.
Question 1. What physical characteristic of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer initially caused his eponymous book to be rejected by publishers? What did y'all think it was?
We didn't talk about who was going to say.
We thought it was antlers. We thought that they described his antlers in a way that made it factually inaccurate, and that the publishers took umbrage with that.
So the publishers were concerned with the scientific accuracy of his antlers and
yes.
not the flying.
or the shiny red nose.
Because we thought maybe they would put antlers on, like, to be a reindeer, but, like, he's a baby reindeer, so they don't have big antlers. Yeah, they shouldn't have big antlers yet.
See, I'm an adult reindeer. That's why I can wear these.
Right.
Clearly.
Yeah.
The answer is, in fact, his red nose.
But what?
Oh.
Yes.
The only feature
That was
they
a trick
made.
question then. Because that's still published like
You
that.
guys, I think we overthought it.
It was a bit of a red nose herring, I'll give you that. So the
Good one.
the guy who wrote
Red-nosed
this,
herring.
his story he tells is that he was pondering how best to craft a. Here, I'll even show you. Sorry. There we go. So Robert May was pondering how best to craft a Christmas story about a reindeer. He was staring out his office window in downtown Chicago, and there was this thick, thick fog rolling off of Lake Michigan that blocked, or at least from Lake Michigan, that blocked his view. And it gave him, as he said, like this flash of inspiration that he says, suddenly I had it. A nose, a bright red nose that would shine through the fog like a spotlight. Unfortunately, the cultural significance of a red nose at the time, like the 1930s, was associated with like chronic alcoholism, and so this story was basically initially rejected based on on that.
Wait, are you saying Rudolph was an alcoholic?
Rudolph definitely was an alcoholic? That is canon. That is canon.
Is that why no one wanted to play with it?
You know, when
A lot more makes
Rudolph
sense.
tells that story.
A lot of things are coming together.
Yeah, and Santa doesn't come out any better in that story because he let that drunk-ass
No,
reindeer
bad
drive.
That drunk-ass child reindeer.
A drunk
drive.
child reindeer.
Dude, we gotta cancel Santa. Terrible
Oh,
lessons
dear.
for kids.
Yes, so that is the answer to that. Question 2, true or false, there is a higher incidence of penile fractures on Christmas. I forgot that one. And then I had to read it. So is that true or false? Some of you very confidently said true, like you're contributing to it.
Okay.
We all just want it to
I heard
be true.
two in the audience go, true.
We want it to be true.
Well, that was where we landed, though, right? Because we said true and ran through a few potential scenarios wherein why that might be true, and
None
didn't
of which
really
we can repeat.
feel much confidence in any of them, but still we're just like true based on vibes.
I
Okay.
also don't think we need to run through what those potential scenarios
No,
are.
we shouldn't say them out loud here.
If the answer is true, it is in fact true. This is a paper called Penile Fractures, The Price of a Merry Christmas. It's published in BJUI, the British Journal of, I think it's Urology International. Sorry, it was in 2023. This is a great quote from it. In Germany, Christmas is widely celebrated. It's the most wonderful time of the year. There is always much mistletoeing, and hearts are glowing when loved ones are near. In other words, still in the paper, quoting, Christmas might be a risk factor for penile fractures due to the Christmas spirit.
It's a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope. But I have to, okay, that was
All
not
right.
where I was going with
Come
that.
on, dude.
But I have to ask, though, is this article just about Germany?
It did focus on publicly available epidemiological data from German hospitals. Yeah.
Okay.
2023, though. 2023, they probably had a diverse candidate pool. This day and age?
I'd hope so. I'd hope so.
You don't think that was like a self-selecting population? Okay. I'll tell you, the paper goes on. The present high-volume, high-quality, real-world data demonstrate that last Christmas, penile fractures occurred more often. This year, to save us from tears, we will not do something special. The new Christmas hit of the year. Research. Science. Okay.
Scientists have to have fun too.
They sure do. Question 3. Shortly before re-entering the Earth's atmosphere on December 16th, 1965, Gemini 6 astronauts reported sighting a UFO piloted by a figure wearing what?
We said probably a red suit. This was probably one of those cases of people thinking they saw Santa in the sky. right?
I'll tell you, Gemini 6 and 7 were basically, their missions were, Gemini 6 has been up there, but I guess, well, you know what? I'm not going to pretend like I know. Anyway, something happened, and then they were both up there. And then Gemini 6 and 7 basically attempted like the first ever sort of like rendezvous in space. So they were able to get like really close to each other. As Gemini 6 had, after they had completed that, they're re-entering the atmosphere, they radioed into Houston and said, "We have an object. Looks like a satellite going from north to south, probably in polar orbit. Looks like he might be going to re-enter soon. You just might let me pick up that thing. I see a command module and 8 smaller modules in front. The pilot of the command module is wearing a red suit." Then Houston, they said later that Houston sounded really tense, and then all of a sudden Jingle Bells started playing, and it was the first time, I guess, instruments were ever played in space. I think it was the second song ever like sung in space.
Yes.
The Soviets beat us to that, I guess. And these are the this is actually an image from Gemini 6 looking at Gemini 7 of like how close they were together.
They're about to kiss.
Exactly. Then I went on from this to do this whole little episode with Jingle Bells. These are the actual instruments that they used. It was like a little like wrist Jingle Bells thing, and apparently like an 8-note harmonica. And I believe these are maybe in like the Smithsonian like Aerospace Museum. They're on display to this day. So question 4: which one of the following statements about reindeer is not true? A, they can move their bodies like a cyclone.
That one is for sure true.
Yeah.
No question.
Okay. B, they can eat and sleep at the same time. C, they are the only mammals that can see ultraviolet light. D, their eyes change color seasonally. Or E, they have been spotted flying across Alaska. What did you say?
We said that the not true answer was C, but we had different reasons amongst the group. I choose to believe that it's because platypi can also see in ultraviolet light.
Can they?
Why not?
I'm choosing to believe that that is the case.
Okay.
And
I
I-
know that there was a thing where they like glowed under a black light or
Exactly,
something.
yeah, because their skins were weird, so maybe.
It's plausible. It also, I feel like I had that thing in my talk about the reindeer and the circadian rhythms, and I just think probably they can eat and sleep at the same time. Like, I don't know anything about that, but maybe it sounds reasonable.
C?
C.
Okay, yes. The answer was C.
Nice.
Oh, nailed it.
Good job, team.
Yeah.
So this is an example of it's called a reindeer cyclone.
That
They swirl around in
Okay.
these crazy like
So it's
hurricane.
Okay,
looking-
Moya, this has to be aliens. It has to
You
be.
think so?
it's not aliens.
This isn't aliens?
No,
Moya,
She will not use
nothing's aliens.
it's nothing's aliens.
has to
It's
be.
never
So this-
aliens.
So basically, the purpose of this is to like make sure that no predator can pick off like any one in particular. So they keep like rotating them around
Okay.
to try to like limit any one of their sort of exposure to that threat. Their eyes do change color seasonally. It has something to do with sort of the amount of light they need to reflect in sort of like the darker times of the year. So they have like a more reflective, this sort of shiny membrane at the back of their eyes. It's called the tapetum lucidum, I think. I'm pretty sure. So they change from like kind of a brownish color to the very shiny kind of blue. This is a picture of reindeer on a plane flying across Alaska.
Yeah. Saw right through you on that one.
You can't trick us.
They, a California, I think some California businessman wanted to bring a lot of reindeer to do sort of like Christmas time events, sort of petting zoo kind of thing, I guess, a while back. And so and part of the process of this was flying 500 miles from somewhere in Alaska to Anchorage, and then I guess maybe putting them on a boat. I'm not exactly sure, but this is a picture from inside the fuselage of a plane just stuffed with reindeer. Seems dangerous and bad. Question 5, in Catalonia, nativity scenes traditionally includes El Caganer, as it is pronounced in Catalan, a figure doing what?
So, pensamos que
Oh.
el caganer está pooping.
I have a Catalan friend who told me a story. He's actually here in the audience. He told me a story
Wow.
about.
Tell me,
There-
do you know this for sure? Okay.
We're gonna call the audience, but he told me something about a log that poops.
That's a different. And I actually know what you're talking about. It's a different story. So what did y'all say the answer is?
Pooping.
The answer is in fact defecating.
Okay.
Wait, but it's not the log that poops. Now I'm really confused.
So there are multiple pooping stories.
There's like
Okay.
well, I'm not gonna say it right in front of the guy from Catalonia.
Please, no, do your best.
Basically, like, there's this kind of log, and there's like maybe little like gifts and food and stuff under it, and they I guess just describe it as being pooped out. That's pretty much it, right?
But is that not related to the log?
Oh, you have to hit it. It's like a piñata. It's like similar, I guess. No, not like that. Well, I can tell you that when I very quickly skimmed this on Wikipedia, it did say see also piñata. So I don't remember any of the details, but I do remember all those other links that I didn't follow. Okay, we'll hear more about that at the after party. Yeah, so El Kagane, and I am so nervous right now because there's someone who not only speaks the language, but also is going to tell me if I'm wrong. How's my pronunciation, El Kagane?
Decently good.
Decently good?
Okay.
Little bit of a backhanded compliment. It literally means the pooper. So this is what it looks like.
Oh, there we go.
They are often kind of like off to the side. I saw keep nodding, guys. I saw a picture where one was like in an attic. So just like they're often like in places where maybe like the baby Jesus wouldn't have to see. Not that the baby Jesus isn't doing exactly the same thing. This one's huge. This one,
Oh, no.
I guess it's like it must be like a mall or something. But it's like 2 stories high, and I just made sure we got the back image so you could see it.
I really
the
don't.
Full,
I
the
don't
full coil in
understand.
all its glory.
Why is it just the Catalan story? Like, why isn't this all of
There-
our nativity scene?
Interestingly, I did see that it was there were very like almost identical things in little pockets of like I guess like southeastern France probably, and weirdly not geographically contiguous, but places in Italy. I think it was in Naples. There's something like extremely similar.
There's just this one guy who traveled a lot, and he never pooped in the same place twice.
Yeah.
I think it's,
Johnny
mar-
Appleseed.
it's marketing. Once they invented the toilet, they were just like, we can't have this in the nativity scene anymore. We have to sell toilets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, big toilet, which is what you would need, is against that.
Yeah.
All right, so question 6: true or false? Santa's reindeer named Dunder and Bliksem were named after a Dutch expletive translating to thunder and lightning.
I mean, it sounds good to us. We just said true. We're like, that sounds pretty similar. So true.
Okay. Has anyone else ever heard of Dunder and Bliksem?
I have
What-
heard
what
of
have you
Thunder
heard of?
Bliksem.
Donner and Blitzen. That is absolutely
We
correct.
just assumed it was a typo.
No, I know that these were original names. I didn't know if they were expletives,
That is-
but I know that they are real names.
You're absolutely correct. These are the original names for Donner and Blitzen.
Yeah.
Dunder and Bliksem. And the reasons for that is that Dunder and Bliksem are the Dutch forms of the German Donner and Blitzen, which mean thunder and lightning. And it was basically an expression, particularly in like New York, that people would just go thunder and lightning. Like it was like, gosh darn it. And so for some reason, the person who wrote this poem, whose name I did not write down, but it was the poem is the account of a visit from St. Nicholas in 1823. Some interesting things here. So obviously there are different names. It wasn't until like the 1860s that like the names for Donner and Blitzen that we see. So many years later. Also, I don't know how many of you are familiar with this, but it's the like rhyme, not the rhyme scheme, but the what's the term for the way you stress syllables?
The meter?
The meter is different. So like I'm familiar with this being on Comet, on Cupid, on Dunder and Blitzen, but in the original it was on Comet, on Cupid, on Dunder and Blitzen, which is bad. And he actually did change it to the one that we know now because somebody clearly was like, I have some notes.
Yeah, of course.
I guess people are more familiar with German, and your poem's bad, so he changed it so that the one that we are familiar with now isn't a misremembering of like what the poem is. It's just that the poem did change in subsequent publications. Question 7: Saint Nicholas is the patron saint of all but one of the following. Is it A, children, B, brewers, C, the unmarried, D, butchers, or E, prostitutes?
We said C, the unmarried.
Why do you think that?
I think it was a process of elimination. We knew
Just like dating.
children and prostitutes.
What? What's up?
Yeah.
What? Doesn't
Oh,
I feel like
I see.
everyone here knows a child and a sex worker, probably. What do you mean?
Whoa.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. We said C.
We said C. Yep.
That is
Locking it in.
incorrect. The answer is butchers.
Okay.
so-
I misremembered.
The crowd is shocked.
Yeah, so
And also
St. Nicholas is the patron saint of children, brewers, the unmarried, prostitutes. The unmarried and the prostitutes wander from the same story that did not happen. This is firmly just a legend that appeared way after his life, and it is the same story we get sort of gift giving and Santa Claus from. And it's basically that there was like a poor family with 3 daughters, and in the logic of this story, the father is worried because they're so poor, he will simply have to sell his daughters into becoming prostitutes. There is no alternative. He goes to that real quick. Basically, St. Nicholas, who's a bishop in Myra, which is in modern-day Turkey, basically, as the story goes, he dropped like little like packages of gold like through a high window, like I guess into each one of their shoes or something like that, and that sort of gift allowed them to pay a dowry or whatever the case was that allowed them allowed their father to not go right to that as option B. Option A subheading 2, really. The other one is really interesting. There's another, legend about St. Nicholas about how he became the patron saint of children and brewers. And there is this medieval legend about one of his miracles, basically that tells how during this particular famine, a butcher lured 3 children to his home with the intention of killing them and planning to sell them off as ham. So St. Nicholas basically, after the butcher had done this, before they were sold as ham, St. Nicholas found out and then resurrected the children who at that point were being pickled in a barrel by making the sign of the cross, as one does. And it was like a very popular story in the Middle Ages and was depicted in all kinds of like stained glass windows and frescoes and illuminations. And eventually the story became so ubiquitous that all these like works that were featuring it, sometimes even in like multiple panels, would just have St. Nicholas standing over a barrel with children in it. So people assumed, out of the context of the story, that he was the patron saint of children. And then later on, as the sort of game of telephone went on, they assumed that he was the patron saint of brewers because there was a barrel. Here's a picture of him resurrecting pickled kids.
They're like, thank you.
All right, final question of the night. Question 8. The Feast of the Ass was a medieval French holiday that celebrated what?
I'm hoping I remembered this right, but I think it was the donkey. Well, so first I said it was like the donkey at the nativity scene. Woo, so many syllables, excuse me. And then Moya was like, oh, Mary was carried on a donkey. And I was like, damn, that is one important donkey that merits celebration. So we said that donkey.
That is exactly right. It is generally the role of donkeys in the Bible, but specifically the donkey that carried sort of the Holy Family out away from Herod into Egypt.
Yeah,
and
the Uber donkey.
And I will say this, it is specifically not the donkey at the Nativity because there were no animals at the Nativity. Not a single animal is mentioned in either of the accounts of the Nativity. And
But what about the guy's ass who was out pooping?
I was about to protest.
That's what the Feast of the Ass is.
I was about to protest.
No.
And be like, all nativity scenes have like donkeys and lambs, but then I'm like, but also the little pooping guy. So I
Yeah.
take it back.
So Pope Benedict actually wrote a book about this exact thing and concluded that although there were no animals at the Nativity, the Vatican would continue to display animals in its nativity scene as, quote, no nativity scene will give up its ox and donkey, which are not at all mentioned.
So in other words, reality doesn't matter.
Yeah, hard to believe they wouldn't draw a firm line at that. But I want to tell you a little bit about the Feast of the Ass. It has come up on our podcast a couple times. It was a medieval Christian feast, particularly in France, observed on the 14th of January, and it celebrated, as I said, generally donkey-related stories in the Bible. There's, so much to get into about this, but because of the little remaining time we have, I just want to share with you one particular part of the, I don't know, homily doesn't seem like the right word, but one part of the service that was like a sort of like scripted thing. And it was, up, Sir Ass, and sing. Open your pretty mouth. Hay will be yours in plenty, and oats in abundance. And then at the end of the mass, the ass mass, the priest would turn to the spectators, and in lieu of saying sort of the normal, like, go be with God or whatever, I don't know, he would instead go, hee-haw, hee-haw, hee-haw. And the people, instead of replying to whatever, thanks be to God, or also with you, they would go, hee-haw, hee-haw, hee-haw.
Well, yeah.
And I think
That's how donkeys say amen. It's
That's
inclusive.
right.
Yeah.
That's how they say everything, to be fair.
Yes. Including amen.
Amen.
Hey,
right.
man.
I
Yeah.
hope communion
go.
that day was also just hay.
Yeah, it could be. It could be.
Yeah.
Probably
true.
better than those dry little church crackers.
It's basically already hay.
Yeah, I just feel like, if Catholics are concerned about, like, attendance going down in the pews, I really think this is the kind of spectacle that they could bring back to really enliven
Absolutely.
any given Sunday. All right, so how did our team do, the common folk, or what, the commoners?
The commoners.
We got
the,
6.
But 10 out of 10.
We got a lot, right?
We
6
did
out of 8.
well. Yeah, that sounds right.
We got 6 out of 8.
We're passing.
6 out of 8.
That's the best I've ever done in trivia in my
Kevin,
whole
do
life.
we have the scores? Okay, at Facts Gene, we have the team that won, and then the team that scored the fewest points. That's the team that learned the most. So what team is it, Devin?
There were
4 teams tied for learning the most.
Spin Down,
Okay.
Light Matter, Gems, and Park Stroll.
Give a round of applause to those 4 teams. They learned so much tonight.
Well done.
And the
the
team that
names.
came in first place.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Okay.
We either have one clear winner with 6 points or a 7-way tie.
Give me the clear winner.
The clear winner could be Spin Up.
But they learned
Wait,
the
was
most.
Spin Down one of the teams that scored the worst? Oh, okay. That's pretty quirky. Okay, so Spin Up, congratulations on being at the top toward the up of the list. You have won